So let me invite Dr. Kenichi Ohno for very brief comment. And then because we want to make a kind of a discussion, it's because we have received 4 or 5 questions so far. So we have to keep some time. So if you could share with us concisely your perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Am I there?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to thank Prime Minister Hailemariam first. We have visited many African countries to start a policy dialogue before, starting with South Africa, Mozambique, Zambia, Kenya, Tanzania, Ghana, Uganda, and then we landed on Ethiopia because Prime Minister Meles invited us to do a serious policy dialogue. With Prime Minister Hailemariam, I think we had 12 long sessions of policy discussion. And audience may now understand it is a great pleasure. It was and it will be a big pleasure for us to work on policies with prime ministers like Prime Minister Meles and Prime Minister Hailemariam. And Ethiopia's economic challenge is not over. Actually, Ethiopia's policies are far from perfect. And I hope, as Mr. Hailemariam said, we hope to be JICA and GRIPS, a small part of the solution in the future too. So I will be very brief in my prepared, presentation. The book, I read it, I will skip these two. I have 3 main comments about basically the Greg's introductory, explanations. First is about diversity. Asia is not one and neither is Africa. And each country is different politically, economically, socially, as well as in policy capacity and private dynamism. And this is well understood in the book. So we need to avoid selling one-size-fits-all solutions. We accuse IMF and World Bank for doing that, but we should not do the same practice. And I feel that individually, policy capacity of Asian government is not always superior to that of African peers. Rwanda, Mauritius, and Ethiopia are far from perfect, but I think they are relatively better than Vietnam, Indonesia, and Cambodia in policy making and policy mindset. These are the countries I've visited and studied. So my question is, how do we promote Asian lessons and advice policy in each country while recognizing both common factors and country-specific features? Let's look at some pictures. Asia is not one. So we have very fast growers among the countries that Greg already explained. Japan is in a sorry state of coming down a little bit. This is a per capita real income relative to USA. China is climbing up very fast from the bottom to the middle. But among other countries, there are different grades, different growth rates. Even policy capacity is different. There are now this industry policy quality score is on the horizontal. The logarithm of per capita income is on the vertical. So there are countries that are growing proportionately, both in policy quality and the per capita income. But there are some countries which are still poor, but they are learning policies. I think their policies are better than Indonesia, Vietnam, India, Cambodia, which are already middle income, but according to me, their policy making is inferior to Rwanda and Ethiopia. Okay. And on the African side, they are also not, we have the diversity on the African side. The 5 key lessons that the Greg mentioned are, I think, applicable to all African economies, a good general lessons. But once you start with the individual countries, we need additional methods because you need to be more specific. The details are so much important. So if some African governments come and ask for more, what do you do? I already have my answer, and then Prime Minister Hailemariam already explained. I would launch a customized policy dialogue, which is flexible and sensitive to national uniqueness and changing circumstances. But this is a very difficult thing that I don't think you can do it in every country. The conditions are very tough. My second point is about getting the basics right versus selective intervention. Now, in 1993, 27 years ago, the World Bank had a report called the East Asian Miracle, which also stressed the basics. It's a different basics, but you know, the general things must be done well. And then debate arose as to whether these broad non-sectoral support, basically the providing the level playing fields, is sufficient for latecomer growth, or maybe sector-specific interventions is required. And then our view, my view, is both are needed and both require much learning. And I would say that general policies alone are insufficient to overcome middle income traps. However, I think I see that Greg's slide says that in selective intervention is not good. So maybe we can have some discussion there. And my last and final point is, what does the book intend? And that was explained already by the speakers. I think this is an introductory book for Africa, and the frustration with past learning, which didn't materialize in real action. So maybe my remarks about these two remarks, diversity and then the selective interventions, are maybe too early, premature. First, Africa's interest in Asian ways must be aroused. And this is different from the Western way and more than just the China model. So for this purpose, exciting stories work better than structured scientific analysis. And that's what the book, I think, did. We also want to know concrete ideas of President Obasanjo. Prime Minister Hailemariam already explained his ideas, but other leaders interested in this learning from Asia. And then my last question is, what can Asia do to keep the momentum going? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the concise comments.